Hey guys, so in this chapter, I'll continue on with the sculpt, mostly focusing on the arm and the hand parts. But in terms of techniques, nothing too fancy compared to the previous chapter. Pretty much the same thing. Just gotta keep cranking through. And I'll also talk a bit more about my freelance situation and its rate in this current economy. So yeah, hopefully I can give you guys some of my insight and enjoy. All right, so welcome to the next chapter. In this part, I want to get started on the arm and hopefully wrap up the ZBrush sketching part within this chapter so that I can show you something new on the next one. So to do that, what I'm going to start off is use this shoulder, turn off the symmetry and just kind of focus on one. Delete the hidden. I have it on the UI right here, but you have if you need to look for it, I believe it's on the deformation. No, where was it? Is it geometry? Mesh topology. There you go. Yeah, mesh topology. Delete hidden. There you go. So now it's only this sphere, and I'm going to focus on just the one arm, and I'm going to turn on the wireframe. I guess you could call this the wireframe model, and I will duplicate it, duplicate this shoulder, and just kind of like stretch it. And again, like this is going to be pretty much similar to how I've been working with the torso or the body, and nothing too different. Turn on the Dynamesh, and I'm going to pretty much brute force the arm to just kind of stretch out. I guess I could have duplicated that section too. But with the arm, I'm kind of imagining it to be a little kind of like a spindly, and use the inflate brush to kind of start on the palm too. So with the arm, just like how the forearm and the I don't know, the bicep, um, how the bones are, they're not really symmetrical. So I'm gonna keep it asymmetry. So that's kind of helpful in the sense where this pose is already asymmetrical. So it kind of works in my favor. The arm's gonna, like I said, the arm's gonna be spindly, and I am going to kind of use that as a base like this. Okay, and then here is the skeleton, and all I need to do is pretty much sketch to a point where it kind of matches the body, and at the same time I'm going to touch up on the body as well so that I could just kind of go back and forth, kind of keep polishing the body while polishing the arm, because the leg area is kind of nasty, so I need to clean that part up for sure. And one part that I might keep it symmetrical might be the finger, so let's do that, shall we? I'm gonna introduce one. Let's see, insert sphere. All right, bring that to where the finger may be, where the middle finger it will be, because I'm going to use the middle finger as a base. I'm going to turn that on somewhere around here-ish, right? And again, this doesn't need to be exactly where I want it to go. I'm going to turn on Dynamesh for this too, maybe increase the resolution a bit, and then use the move infinity. Oh boy, this is kind of tricky. And I'm going to try to match it similar. I know it's in an angle, so I won't be able to, but kind of enough so that it is from the front view is pretty oh, I need to turn on X. Yeah, symmetrical. And also, while I turn on the symmetry for X, make sure the local symmetry is on so that I could work symmetrically just with this finger like this, right? So that is that. And all I need to do is work on this finger, and later on I'm going to duplicate it. Perhaps the thumb's going to look similar to the finger. I'm not too sure yet, but this is going to stay like this, and yeah, there you go. This is the skeleton for my arm. Okay, and all I gotta do is, if I want to, I could mirror and weld this to the other side, make sure the local symmetry is turned off, mirror and weld it so it is working on with parallel, or not parallel, but I could work on the same side together. Okay. Oh, and same with the shoulder. I could bring this guy, mirror and weld as well. Boom. Okay, so now I could just start sculpting on this guy, right? And just kind of playing around with it. So yeah, like I said, I think what's good about the arm, as a matter of fact, let me raise the resolution a bit. I'm going to keep it sketchy, but at the same time, making sure it doesn't pop out of the body, because we don't want that. Alright, so now that I'm here, I'm going to fast forward it again and see how this will turn out. So at a certain point, you might want to like split things up, like this forearm. So to do that, it's really easy. The way I tend to do it is using this mask lasso tool, and I'm going to turn on polyframe so it's kind of easier to see. So let's say I want to select this bicep. Okay, and Control W to polygroup it, and hold Control Shift and tap it so I could just isolate this selection. And then again, I have on my UI split hidden, but I believe it is under here under Subtools, split hidden, boom. Okay, so yeah, now I have two different subtools. Okay, and all I gotta do is just if I were to isolate it, just dynamesh it so it kept the hole. Same here, dynamesh it to kept the hole. Okay, and same with the body. So let's say, like for instance, let me isolate the body. So for instance, like this piece right here, if I want to isolate the selection, this little nub that just kind of comes out. Let's try a different method. Or you know what? This was a little easier. So let's go a little tricky, like this little collar piece right here. So I could just, again, I'm going to turn on polyframe. And eventually, I want to do this to most pieces. Actually, maybe I might just stick this with some of the major pieces and then do some more. I might do it the combination of Blender and ZBrush for this part, but yeah, literally the idea is the same. The idea is the same, where I'm just selecting this piece and splitting it, basically. What's going on? Why can't I? There it goes. It's sometimes kind of hard to see. Let me just turn off the line so I could just kind of see where I'm kind of. We do a poly paint method too, but for some reason I feel comfortable with the masking method a lot more. Okay, so Control W to change the poly group. Oop, missed this part, so let me just Control Z. Select Control W. Oop, weird color. There you go. Okay, so that's enough. Okay, isolate the selection, split hidden, dynamesh it, boom. Okay, there you see how like it just kind of filled the hole, because when you dynamesh it, it's going to try to find that even between this end of the line to this end of the line, so that's why it's going to get capped. But I'll just have to like remodel that area. So luckily it's just the sketch, right? And then same here, Control, and then yeah, I just keep modeling it through. And if I want to just keep this into the same poly group, because I don't think I'm going to use this, it's unnecessary to have this its own poly group, so Control W to just make it the same thing. Alright, anyways, I'm going to keep going. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention is that let me just do one more piece where I'm going to just mask this little frontal section. Okay. Mask it up. There he goes. So something like that. Let's check out polyframe. That's good. Control W, so it's like a different color. Then Control Shift and tap to isolate it, and do the same process, right? Split hidden, Alright, so I have this piece and this piece now. And then when I dynamesh this, let's see, I'm going to dynamesh this. Obviously, it's going to fill the cap. And same with this, control dynamesh, it fills the cap. And notice when I fill the cap, or like control, and then it just kind of dynameshes and fills the cap, you see how the poly group forms a new poly group right here. That is because I have this guy, this little brush stroke right here turned off. So like if that thing is on, so let me just control Z back. So if I have this thing turned on, and if I do control drag, that's just going to keep everything one poly group. So just kind of keep that in mind when you do it. Just rule of thumb, I just keep it off. And the reason why I'm kind of talking about this poly group thing is that because it's easy when to just kind of like start working on this, right? So I could start kind of working and start changing these up, but then you see how like some parts are a little difficult to sculpt just because of how thin it might turn out from the dynamesh. So this is where the poly grouping really helps. So if I hold Control Shift and tap this piece, isolate it like that, and Control tap so that I will mask it. So let me just solo this, okay? And then Control Shift tap again, Control tap to inverse the mask, and then W to move. There you are. And then if I just bring this guy out like that, so now it's a little thicker, and if I just control drag it and dynamesh, that's a lot more easier to kind of work on, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Nothing too big, but it is something that's like super helpful to know when you're kind of just separating these pieces, to make sure to kind of use this utilize this poly group to just kind of like pull it out, so you have a little more area to work on, okay? And again, if I want to get rid of this, same with this, if I just Control Shift, mask it, inverse it, and bring the arrow to where it's isolated, and if I could just kind of scooch it in like that, there it kind of creates this little gap right there, right? So that I have, so like this piece can actually sit inside this chest piece right here. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind, and you could continue on with this sculpt.
So earlier in the first video, I spoke briefly about the freelance situation and its rate. And as of now in this economy, ideally you want to get paid more than $75 an hour if you're living here in LA. But most of my freelance they do come from outside the states, more from Asia, so it's half of it, which is more like 30 an hour. But yeah, like with the freelance coming from different countries, the rates, they do vary, but I feel like one thing's for sure, most are really low compared to like what you can get here in LA, or I guess more like California. So it makes sense why people are leaving California for more affordable places. And yeah, I feel like I'm in that same boat too. Like, why are we living here in LA? Traffic is a nightmare. My car got broken into multiple times. Once for my wife's wedding ring, which was just complete devastation, and once for just a pack of gum, which is so stupid. But you know what? Weather is great here, I'm not gonna lie. And main reason I can't leave, or I don't want to leave, is because for the love of my friends and family. They're all someone who holds such great value to my life, and I'd sacrifice anything. I'd sacrifice my work life for them. But then again, if my friends and family are like, hey, let's move to somewhere cheaper, I agree in a heartbeat. So yeah, it's super tough whenever I see that offer, to work for this new game or this cool project, but the only requirement is to relocate, right? And it makes sense. It makes sense why many companies are just outside of LA now. It's just too expensive. And I mean, there are exceptions like Riot and Santa Monica Studio, Naughty Dog, but these are the top-notch companies, right? They can afford it. And believe me, like, I would love to be in one of these studios, but they have artists who are just super talented, way talented than I am. But yeah, this is not about me complaining. And this is why I'm doing this project, right? To keep me focused, grow on my own terms, and one day find that better opportunity. So far, I'm fortunate. Like, I feel good enough to still still land a few gigs here and there, just to survive. Nothing too fancy ever since the COVID crash. Just enough to pay that bill and to eat. I'm pretty sure I'd get paid more if I was a server at some restaurant, but you guys know, being an artist is fun. I'd rather get paid shitty and do concept artwork than doing anything else. But yeah, I do worry though, with the influx of artists and no job markets out there. Like, how will artists survive? I'm sure there are many talented artists out there who are faced with far more challenging life circumstance than I am. Like, how do you do it? Like, how are you surviving? It's always like so depressing to see like many artists in LinkedIn with that open to work banner. And God, speaking of LinkedIn, this is a whole nother topic that I want to talk about. So maybe I'll save that for the next video. But going back to that freelance and the rates, it's out there, and once you get that consistent amount and that rhythm of workflow down, I feel like it's sustainable and fun, because you get to make your own schedule. But if you don't, then I feel like that's when it gets really difficult. I do some teaching on the side, and I often get questions from students on how to break into the industry. And before the COVID crash, I would have said something like, you'll be fine, just keep pushing through and work hard, and eventually you'll land something, right? But it's a different time now. Even I'm not too sure on how to find that secure job. So far, the last new company I was in just shut down. Last company being only less than me being there for less than 3 months. And I feel like I didn't even get to prove myself. But there's nothing that I could have done. The game didn't do well, so the company just simply shut down. It's just baffling. So even though I may not be that great example to follow in terms of like breaking into that industry, these times offs are when I can really try to improve and push the skills that I want to, hence this project and making the effort into making this video, right? With the freelance coming in, yeah, it's dirt cheap, but it's it's still something that I like to do, and B, it helps me improve that skills. So yeah, for those who want to break into the industry, I'd say just take any type of opportunity or project out there, no matter how much they plan to like lowball you. But just if they do pay you cheaply, make sure to keep mindful of a few things. First of all, like, will you enjoy this, right? Will you enjoy doing this project? And second, like, will this help improve your skills for potential future bigger projects? And make sure, if you're working for cheap clients, make sure you're able to post these work as a portfolio piece, especially if you're a newcomer artist. I feel like these are some of the minimal criteria from a cheap client necessary to keep pushing through, which worked for me in the past. So hopefully, it'll work again. We'll see. But let me know what you guys think. Anyways, I think this video is coming to an end, so let's start wrapping it up, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, so I think I'm ready to move on to the next stage, which is the cleanup stage, which basically what I'm going to be doing is retopping the surfaces. Um, but yeah, at first I was thinking of using Blender to do that, but now that I think about it, if I were to want to still sculpt while cleanup, it would be kind of annoying to, just go back and forth between ZBrush and Blender. Although Blender does have its sculpting tool, I think ZBrush is just way more powerful. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, let's move on to the next chapter, which is the cleanup stage.